Good evening and welcome to the LaRouche Organization Weekly Battle Report. Today is Wednesday, April 16th. I'm your host, Michelle Aaron. This week, the LaRouche movement took the fight against the collapsing system of empire and towards a new paradigm for mankind to universities, town hall meetings, school board hearings, rallies, and independent news media. Jumping right in, you may have asked yourself how you can recruit young people to the fight. If you want to do that, give them a beautiful vision for mankind and for the future. Let's go right to Daniel Burke, who did this last week near a university campus in Manhattan, New York.
Hi, I'm Daniel Burke with the LaRouche movement, and I'm here with a group of people. We're campaigning out in the streets of Manhattan, and this is the issue. We're talking to students coming to a nearby campus about what are the underlying principles that are going to govern the next 50 years. Is it the case that man is made to live in harmony with his brother, or are we doomed to live in a state of eternal war and end up blowing ourselves up in nuclear annihilation? We have a better future. We have a vision for the future. We're meeting people from all over the world who see that there is something happening, as in the Belt and Road Initiative, as in the BRICS. People are coming up and saying, well, I know that work you're doing. I know what Naledi Pandor, and when we tell them she just endorsed our conferences, they get really excited and they want to work with us. But what we need is a constituency in the United States, a leadership capability that will intervene to introduce a pathway forward for collaborating with the BRICS countries. What does it mean to work with Russia, to work with China, to end wars and genocide, and to lift up mankind? That's what people are responding to out here, the young people we're meeting. So please join us in the street, campaign with us, take our literature, get it out wherever you can, and go to political meetings, go to campuses, go to the offices of your representatives and raise hell on this and introduce to them a beautiful vision. Thank you.
As you heard from Daniel, you are invited to come out and organize likewise. The video, that wonderful little video there, you can find standalone by itself. If you want to share it to your networks, it's available on the LaRouche Organization Facebook and Twitter pages. So the LaRouche movement has unique insight into the global picture, which is derived not from chasing details and following events, but from our work in creating a new paradigm. Schiller Institute founder Mrs. Helga Zepp-LaRouche was interviewed yesterday on the Kim Iverson show. This is a podcast with 250,000 followers to help viewers understand what's going on in Germany and in Europe more broadly. Why is it when the incoming Trump administration broke with the idea of supporting continuous war in Ukraine and Russia and started pursuing peace, why did Europe continue to be for war?
Joining us now is someone who's been warning about this. Her name is Helga Zepp-LaRouche. She's not a politician. She's not a defense contractor. She doesn't work for Wall Street. She's a German thinker, the founder of the Schiller Institute, and one of the few voices on the planet offering a real alternative, a completely new global architecture based on diplomacy, development, and peace. She believes this current course will end in total collapse unless we change direction and fast. Helga Zepp-LaRouche, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let's first talk about the world falling apart. I'm really curious what's going on in Germany. Here, you would think that the Europeans, the minute Trump comes into office and says, I want to come to an agreement, I want to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. My thinking would be Europe would be just, cheerful, joyful, singing hooray, this is good, this has been terrible for the European economy. But instead, the Europeans seem to be going in the opposite direction, hunkering down for more war, wanting war with Russia. What is the deal with Germany wanting a war with Russia for the third time?
When Trump came in, it became very clear that they were not obeying American orders, but they were obeying orders to an establishment which, you can say is a transatlantic deep state. It's the British, and it was the Biden administration and before Obama and so forth. But, it is not America. I think this is a very important observation people should take note of, that, we are not dealing with countries. We are not dealing with national interests against another nation's interest. But what this particular reaction by Germany and some other Europeans makes clear is that these elites belong to an establishment which is not national. It's supranational. It, I would say, has its power center in Wall Street, in the city of London, and to a certain extent in Frankfurt. And, I think that why they are doing this, trying to keep the war going, they just formed a coalition of the willing to keep sending weapons to Ukraine, to send money to Ukraine, and they want to continue the war despite the fact, this is so cynical, because it is very clear that the Ukrainians have lost the war. They hardly can keep up the front. They have not the personnel. They have sacrificed, maybe over 1 million people. A whole generation of young people has died for what? For nothing. They are, using Ukraine for geopolitical reasons, for reasons which are, I think they have collectively gone crazy. I think we are looking at a dying empire, but this empire is not linked to nations. I think this is extremely important. It's a supranational oligarchy who is continuing the war despite the fact that it's lost already, because obviously they don't care about German interests. They don't care about the life of Germany, of the existence of Germany, which is at risk with what they do.
Clearly, now that the U.S. is asking for peace and the rest of Germany, the rest of Europe is not even going along with that, you're right. There's something else that is the driving force behind this sort of these conflicts, these wars, the instability. It's not just the United States.
Thank you, Helga, for that important insight. Shifting now to an on-the-ground report in Sweden. Schiller Institute Sweden's Ulf Sandmark took a quick moment last Saturday to give us a short report as he joined a rally of the Palestinian Association in Uppsala, Sweden. This was the 74th demonstration for Gaza in this important university town.
Hello, here's Ulf Sandmark reporting from Uppsala, Sweden. We will now have a demonstration for Palestine. I will speak there also about about Yemen and also Palestine. We will have a march here from this place, historic place, actually the city where the Westphalian peace was invented by a special institution here, which is now the institution for politics. This institution helped to develop the scholars that was participating in the negotiations for the Westphalian peace. It's called Skytteanum, and it was founded there in the 1600s to be able to educate those people needed for the negotiations. So it's a historic place here, and we have here the Church of National Church of Sweden, and also the University of Uppsala. So we are just about to leave now, and I will take part in this demonstration where you see people mobilizing to protect the health workers in Palestine and also the media who are now being executed by Israel. So I'll come back with more.
Thank you, Ulf, for taking that moment to give us a sense of what's going on out there on the ground in Sweden with some of those with whom we are in solidarity. Ulf later, as you see here, spoke to the rally in front of a banner that says, if it were in English, it says, "It is enough, we don't give up." And we have a couple more pictures for you. There was a procession. It was very solemn, a funeral procession with 300 people. You see many dressed as healthcare workers, others representing press. Many press have been killed in Gaza. And you see the demonstration was quite large through the city. So the full speech that Ulf gave at this rally will be available soon on his Ulf Sandmark Facebook page. Now to an intervention in Maryland, United States. Just 2 weeks ago, TLO activist Mike Reeves, who you see here in Washington, D.C., went to the meeting of his congresswoman, a freshman named Sarah Elfreth. It was a town meeting at a local library, and in the portion of the meeting that I listened to, she mostly talked about how Democrats have no idea how to fight Trump. They don't know how to fight the budget cuts. They don't have a plan, and they wish they did. So LaRouche Organization, Mike Reeves, he got up to speak. He said, "We have a plan," and he presented the Oasis plan, the LaRouche Oasis plan to rebuild the Middle East. He presented the swords to plowshares concept, that we retool our military industrial complex to build useful things for our economy, and the full LaRouche Four Laws economic program. And the audience was extremely receptive, with audible support in the room as he was presenting this. So really, everyone watching, please consider finding events to go out and present, especially the solution concepts. You may be surprised that people are just waiting for someone to take leadership. And film it, send your reports in. Thank you. So we now have 2 developments on the need to remember and fight for the good in American history. Most of what you've been taught about American history is a lie. Over the weekend, LaRouche Organization Vice President Chris Sare gave 2 classes presenting the Renaissance roots of the American Revolution. And this is important because most Americans don't know why the United States is good. So the first class of the 2 took place in the LaRouche Organization Friday night symposium with Diane Sare, and you can watch that in full. The link is included in the YouTube description, or you can just find the video on the LaRouche Organization website. Now, in Virginia last week, TLO's Tim Rush spoke up at a Loudoun County School Board hearing to oppose the stripping from a middle school the name of a hero in American history, Charles Fenton Mercer. The crew that are trying to get the school renamed included people from Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, and the local Democratic Party. So Tim will watch his testimony and then a statement directly from Tim explaining what the background of this is and why it's important.
Good evening. If this board strips the name of Charles Fenton Mercer, because that is the person ultimately the school is named for, from Mercer Middle School, it will not be confronting the nation's legacy of slavery, but affirming it. I say that as a proud 60-year veteran of the civil rights movement, going back to participation as a teen in the 1963 March on Washington. Please look closely at the memo I submitted to you. George Washington was an indispensable leader in founding the Republic. He also held slaves. Would we delegitimize all his positive contributions by removing his name from a Loudoun county school? The case of Charles Fenton Mercer is exactly parallel. In his 3 decades as a Virginia state legislature and U.S. congressman, 1810 to 1839, Mercer battled the slave system, which he called the blackest of all blots, in 4 crucial areas. Economics, pursuing policies to build up agriculture, industry, and infrastructure, including his founding of the C&O Canal. Against the Tidewater slavocracy. Public education far ahead of his time, extending the voting franchise to poor non-slaveholding strata, and shutting down loopholes in laws banning importation of slaves. Did Mercer entirely free himself from slavery and racism? No. Mercer inherited a family of enslaved blacks, which he kept on, and in private letters he denigrated the character of free blacks. Did he contribute to creating the conditions for freeing the country of the scourge of the slave system? Absolutely. The great anti-slavery champion John Quincy Adams, when he heard of Mercer's departure from the U.S. Congress, exclaimed, "The savage and barbarous genius of slavery has kindled a flame of popular odium against him." The champions of the slave system excoriated him. The criterion for changing school names mandated by the Northam government 5 years ago was when an individual for whom a school was named, quote, "advanced slavery and systemic racism." Mercer in no way meets that criterion. I urge you to keep his name on the Mercer School.
My name is Tim Rush with the LaRouche Organization. I'm here at the headquarters of the Loudoun County School Board, Loudoun County, Northern Virginia. There's an effort to strip the name of a hero of the American system of economics and of the fight against the slave system of this country, Charles Fenton Mercer, from a middle school in this county on the outrageous grounds that he was fostering and protecting the slave system. It's exactly the opposite. Tonight is something of a showdown of citizen input. I'll be speaking. The point about this is that just 10 days from now, on the 19th of April, we will be celebrating the beginning of the American Revolution at Lexington and Concord, 250th anniversary. This is doubly outrageous that at such a moment when we should retake the quality of thinking that imbued the founders of our country, that we would be delegitimizing, that we would be trashing exactly what must be revived. Thomas Fenton Mercer was a great figure in the American system of economy, as I mentioned, worked closely in installing in Virginia a version of Alexander Hamilton's American system. He put new banks in place. We fought to get the voting franchise for non-slaveholding whites. He fought for public education. He fought for a vast infrastructure drive that culminated in the building of the Chesapeake and Ohio C&O Canal. He was walking in the footsteps of George Washington. He inherited a household of slaves that he kept. Like George Washington held slaves, the country owes an enormous debt to these people who may have come into this period from a slaveholding background and then mightily contributed to this nation's ability to stop and to end such an atrocious system. So I'll be speaking tonight, and this is part of the cultural wars that are all across the country. But let's lift people's eyes to something more than just back and forth on whether you're woke or not. Let's really some beautiful ideas called founding this country again.
Also in Virginia, we have a report from a music event this past weekend held by the Leesburg Chamber Players and the Leesburg Schiller Institute Chorus. As we will hear from Nancy Guice, who is one of the conductors at this concert, a feature of this event was a performance of a new arrangement of the composer Antonin Dvorak's setting of My Country 'Tis of Thee.
Hi, my name is Nancy Guice. I'm here to tell you about an amazing debut that occurred over this past weekend, Saturday, April 12th, in Leesburg, Virginia, at a performance of the Leesburg Chamber Players, a string quartet, plus one this time, a quintet, and the Leesburg Schiller Institute Chorus. They performed My Country 'Tis of Thee by Antonin Dvorak, arranged by Fred Haight. Dvorak had come to the United States in the late 1800s to help create a national compositional school, a new American idea of musical composition. He heard My Country 'Tis of Thee and thought it a shame that this was set to a British tune, God Save the King, and said, I'm going to write a new anthem for America. He immediately set down his ideas in a sketch, but never realized the full composition. His secretary, after Dvorak's death, said, if you want to know his intention, listen to the third movement, the larghetto, of his string quartet, Opus 97. This was written in Spillville, Iowa, after Dvorak had spent a lot of time with freed slaves in America, with the indigenous people. He just absorbed all of the music that existed in the nation at the time. And he loved America, but also said there were things he had seen that he wished he never had. So what happens in this third movement, as my brother Fred Haight has now realized in this new version of America, was that it's not all rah patriotism, but there's pain, there's suffering, but there's also joy, there's resolution of problems, and overall there is hope for the future. So the way the composition is set, the way Fred chose to set it, is with the verses on the major portions, and then between each verse there is a string interlude, which is another variation on the theme, and each time it conveys a very different idea. So the piece as a whole was a rousing success. Everybody was uplifted, excited, exuberant, the singers, the string players, the audience alike. So if you would like to perform this during our 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation, please get in touch with me. My email address is at the bottom of the screen, and I will happily share the scores with you. We would like this to be played everywhere. Thank you.
And if you'd like to hear the piece, which would be a very good idea, there's a link in the YouTube video description to a performance of it, which took place last September, that was done by the Schiller Institute New York City Chorus. So as mentioned by Tim in the statement we heard a few minutes ago, we are on the eve, and Nancy, of the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States. This weekend, on Saturday the 19th, we will be at the anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord. The LaRouche Organization will celebrate this occasion and the opening of the 250th anniversary by holding simultaneous in-person meetings in Massachusetts and Manhattan, with a live stream portion for those unable to make it in. The live stream will take place at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. The meetings are titled 250 Years After the Shot Heard Round the World, the British Are Still Colonizers. If you wish to attend in person, contact us. You can email at info@LaRoucheOrganization.com or call up your favorite LaRouche organizer. So this week, the LaRouche Organization organized near New York City campuses to recruit young people to a beautiful vision for mankind. Helga Zepp-LaRouche intervened with insight to make sense of the continued drive in Europe to keep a war going in Ukraine. We waged several fights of our own form of cultural warfare, designed to destroy the enemy operations of woke revisionism and to remind people of the true American history, and to advance the almost forgotten efforts of many, including Antonin Dvorak, to create an American classical school of music. And Schiller Institute's Ulf Sandmark in Sweden continued the work to promote a Peace of Westphalia solution for the Middle East, where forgiveness and the advantage of the other can become principles upon which a peace can be based. So that's what we have for this evening. Send in your reports. We want to hear them. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.